writer, Josh Pate, I believe is his name.
Yeah, he's with 24/7, does a really good YouTube on-demand show. I disagree with everything we're going to play. In fact, I think he's just so off the mark, it's not even funny. But I do like him and respect his work and think he does a good job, for whatever it's worth.
Okay. So Josh Pate was reacting to Mike Leach's tweet following the Kentucky Derby when long shot, 80-1 long shot, Rich Strike won. Here's what he said.
Bumper sticker syndrome exists. That's the sort of thing where if you just read something really quickly and then you move on, it makes sense. But it bears no shot of standing up to any thorough examination. One of those would be the big lies we've talked about on this show many times, like, well, you are what your record says you are. If you watch pro football, that sounds like it makes sense. It doesn't always make sense in this sport because of the difference in strength of schedule. You could have someone tell you, well, a win is a win. No, I can assure you, if you beat an FCS team you were favored by 45 against by a field goal versus beating Alabama by a field goal, those wins are not equal, not even remotely close to being equal. But if you just say them and then you move on, kind of makes sense, right? That is bumper sticker syndrome. Well, Mike Leach has got a great heaping helping of bumper sticker syndrome going for him right now. You know, because even the expansionist crowd out there claims that they love the regular season. So those of you who claim you could get everything that's magical about the NCAA tournament or the Kentucky Derby all of a sudden and put it in college football but keep everything else the same, hey, Mike Leach just mentioned some other races that horse didn't win. Could any of you tell me about those races? You told me about the Kentucky Derby because you watched that, because that's an event that the structure of that sport, horse racing, says you have to watch. Could you tell me about the other races, though? For the St. Peter's represents everything that could be great about college football crowd. Could you tell me your favorite 3 memories from St. Peter's regular season run this year in college basketball? The answers are no and no, because the very thing that you're touting as what could be something to enact change in college football gave you no reason to observe the regular seasons in any of those other sports.
So Josh Pate, national college football writer at 24/7 Sports, and also does some stuff at CBS Sports HQ.
Quick question. What are your 3 favorite memories of Cincinnati's run to the playoff this past season? What did you love about their regular season? Was it the win at Tulane? Did that get you? Oh, you remember they beat Notre Dame, but I promise you didn't watch it.
Well, you might have watched that one.
Maybe.
I probably remember watching some of their game against Indiana.
Maybe. I watched more college football than anybody I know. I didn't check that one out.
I watched a good bit of that one because I thought they might lose.
Well, Indiana
didn't play very well.
Indiana ended up being bad, but
yes.
Either way, it's 2 different arguments, right? And I know our friend Chase is going to send us a lot of messages because he disagrees with me on this, and he's going to let me know about it. Playoff expansion, to me, is not about the best way to determine the champion, because it's not. 4 is fine if that's the only goal here. But I cannot follow or agree with the it ruins the regular season argument. Because let's be honest. Let's really be honest. What is there to ruin? What is there to ruin? How many fan bases in college football today, in May, where optimism is at its highest, truly can believe they have a realistic shot at making the playoff? Of the 130 teams that exist in college football, how many fan bases in May think this team can make the playoff?
Can make the playoff, not win a national championship.
Yeah. Can make the playoff. How many fan bases can realistically
what's that
expect
number? 16 to 20?
Yeah. Maybe less.
Maybe less.
And how many think that they have a realistic shot at winning the national championship? Because I couldn't get to 7 when I thought about it.
I was going to say 6.
Alabama, Georgia.
Clemson fans, I guess, have probably given that up, at least in the short term. So Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, just because they always do.
But they got a new coaching staff, new quarterback. Even that's questionable.
I understand. I completely understand. My guess is that there is a faction of the Southern Cal fan base that thinks it's going to be that quick of a turnaround. Yeah. So there's you a fifth one. Notre Dame? But Notre Dame 6?
Do they have the talent to? I mean, we're at 6, and it's like, I don't know. It's going to come from a pool of 3 at best. It's going to be one of the 2 teams in the SEC winning the national championship again. That's what's going to happen. We all know it. Maybe Ohio State. They got returning quarterback, good, everything else. What is there to ruin? What is great about the college football regular season when 98% of the sport never plays a single game that truly matters? I know we care around here. We love it. We're excited about the season. I'm excited about the season. I think Ole Miss is interesting. Can Will Rogers take the next step and Mike Leach's offense take the next step and be more consistent? We've got stuff to talk about and be interested in. We love football. But there will not be, barring something shocking, a single game played by Ole Miss or Mississippi State that have playoff implications for them. Now, Alabama, when they come to Oxford, they better win or else it ruins their shot at a playoff. But Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, LSU, Florida, South Carolina, Auburn, Tennessee, Missouri, Virginia Tech, Miami, Florida State, on and on and on, will not play a single game that matters this season in terms of making the real postseason. Not one.
And the fact, Borky, is if you go to a 12-team playoff, you still don't have 130 teams that have got a chance.
No.
But you've got 30.
And you could argue even more. And no, would that change the outcome of the playoff in the season? Probably not. But at least you have games that matter. Because when you really look at college football 2021, how many games were played that mattered? Oh, but you could devalue Ohio State, Michigan. Okay. It's one of the greatest rivalries in sports. It's fine if it's not playoff or bust. It'll be fine. The game will still be compelling. People will watch. I would argue that you end up with more games that really matter. Yeah.
Right? Because, okay, so Texas A&M beats Alabama, which made all of Alabama's games after that matter a heck of a lot because there was no margin for error after that. The SEC championship game mattered. Like, there's no way to even put a measure on how much it mattered for Alabama because if Alabama had lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game, they're out. They're not going to the college football playoff. But because they beat Georgia and they had the only the one loss, they get in the playoff. You get a rematch. Georgia wins it. The national championship game, et cetera, et cetera. We get that. But how about making games for Arkansas matter in November? Games for Iowa State matter in November, even if they lost to Iowa in week 2 of the season. How about making games for Baylor matter at the end of November? Because if they win their conference championship, they're going to the playoff.
Yeah.
Nobody from the Big 12 was going to the playoff last year.
In 2020, remember, after Oklahoma lost their second game on October 4th, there was not one college football game, not one west of the Mississippi River that had playoff implications. And you're telling me that's the best regular season in sports? We can't ruin a regular season that had west of the Mississippi River not playing a meaningful game after October 4th? We can't ruin that? I disagree. I think we can ruin that for the better.